According to the lecture that we watched in class, ABC, the American Broadcasting System, excuse me, the American Broadcasting Company, has been broadcasting since 1946, and they would have had to have been broadcasting since 1946, nonstop, every day of the year, to equal what YouTube does in 6 months. That's the equivalent of, I believe the video says 385 always on, air quotes, channels and about 200,000 1-minute videos, which coincidentally is about 88% original content on YouTube, and it's all skewered towards less than 100 viewers, which I thought was really interesting. And I think that the effect that that has for web-based media is that everybody has a platform. If everybody has a platform and everybody can share their message, their media, their goofy home videos, like one of the all-time biggest YouTube videos ever was Charlie Bit Me, and that's a home video. And so everybody has this platform. Everyone gets to have their 15 minutes of fame, as Andy Warhol said. And those 15 minutes of fame oftentimes are the things that we end up talking about the most for, a week, a month, or even a year. There are countless YouTube videos that have gone viral, from Charlie Bit Me to, Size, Gangnam Style, to, take your pick. It doesn't really even matter. The point is that everyone gets their 15 minutes of fame, and that's the implication of having a software like YouTube and Web 2.0 and that kind of application that's that easy to upload and edit. And you can see that later in the video where he talks about Soulja Boy. And Soulja Boy became this internet sensation because he mixed his song digitally on his own and posted the dance to the song, and it was mimicked, imitated, repeated. There were videos of high school teachers doing it at assemblies, and I looked privately for my own research purposes on, what kind of viewership that was, how many people watched it, and that video was on and off again the number one video for 2016 or 2016, 2008 or 2009. And it would, it was so popular that it would go up, and then it would fade, and something else would take its place, and then it would actually come back up because it was such a popular dance and such a popular video for people to watch. And then, going off of that, the fact that something like that is so easy to create with programs like FL Studio and others. I have one downloading right now called GoPlay, which is another free editing software, copy and paste editing software, only eases the amount of effort it takes to produce content. And when you ease the amount of effort to produce content, what you end up with is a better source of mass consumption. And you can see that with podcasts like Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, which is the one that I listened to for this lesson. He talked about the Celtic Holocaust. And what the Celtic Holocaust was, he starts out by saying, make a list of the things that you would die for. And then explains that most of us would probably put family and life and land and in the top 5, and liberty is probably up there too. And then he starts talking about the Gauls and how liberty was their most important feature and how they were willing to die for it. But he also points out that the big difference between the Celtic Holocaust and some of the other Holocausts that have occurred throughout history is, let's take John Adams, for example, during the American Revolution. If he was to stand up and say, give me freedom or give me death, Dan Carlin points out that the British might have hanged him, but not his family, and they wouldn't have burnt his church to the ground, sold his wife into slavery or, erased his name from history. The Romans were so efficient at doing that there's actually a term for it in Latin, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but it translates to war as the Romans do, which it means total war without restraint. And that's important because ease of access for stuff like that is, in the age of denial, when we can dismiss scientific fact and scientific evidence because it doesn't fit with our worldview, is really important. If we can upload and stream information easily, we can get information out there. But on the other side of that same coin, somebody who's belligerent enough and truly doesn't believe in scientific fact and just wants to spew their own propaganda, they can do the same thing. So it's a double-edged sword. And the website I've chosen to use is called Pocket, which allows you to save and bookmark websites. I have the Celtic Holocaust podcast saved on there. It is very interesting. It's long. It's 5 hours long. So if you have a long road trip or just a lot of free time, I recommend listening to it. I was going to say reading, but recommend listening to it. It's fascinating, and it's a very interesting comparison of the way that things are now to the way that things were then, and what's different and what's the same. And it also really ties into a lot of what is, sorry, my dog is making a lot of noise. Go away. And anyways, what I was saying was that there was an ease of upload for a lot of things like that. So it's important for things like Hardcore History to be on. It's important for a lot of the podcasts that we have today to be online because people need the access to the information. And in today's world, the internet is the easiest way for people to get a hold of information, and it's everywhere. It's on your phone. It's on your tablet. It's on your watch now. I saw a refrigerator the other day. The entire front of the refrigerator is a giant screen that accesses the internet and can tell you also what's the contents of your fridge, which sounds ridiculous, but that's the age we're living in. We're living in the age of technology, the age of the internet, where these things are so prevalent. And really the implications of that is that information is limitless. And so long as information is limitless, we can learn from it. But like I said earlier, information works both ways. There's factual and then there's non-factual. There's scientific and there's pseudoscientific. And then what we're discovering in this time frame is that there are a lot of people who lack the ability to critically evaluate what they're reading and what they're seeing. And it's leading to the spread of false information. The best example I can think of is the anti-vax movement. That was birthed out of a false claim, and then it spread like a plague of ignorance. And now we're dealing with some states, like Washington State has 500 new cases of measles and 500 new cases of whooping cough reported every week, I believe is what the article I read declared. And those were diseases that have all been but eradicated with vaccines. And again, the sheer ease of information that was able to spread a false fact was incredible. And a lot of it spread on social media like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. A lot of that social media is where this information is spread because everybody has one. And if everyone's got a platform, everyone can have their voice. And if everyone can have their voice, then, well, sometimes you get people who probably shouldn't be speaking in public. And the implications of that they're immense. There are too many to list. The most important in terms of technology that we're talking about is it makes it easy to upload, it makes it easy to distribute, and it makes it to where everyone can do it. And with those implications, I think that's really the importance of Web 2.0.